Last season, the NBA had a very unprecedented playoffs as many players were injured and there were a whole lot of different situations going on. And because of these unprecedented playoffs, a lot of people believe that's the reason why the Milwaukee Bucks would go on to win the NBA championship and beat the Phoenix Suns. Some people say the ring shouldn't count, some people say that both of these teams had no right making the finals, but regardless, when we look at these teams, we can clearly see that they're just as good as they were last year and maybe they've actually improved. But how are the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champions, not getting any recognition and to some people not even a contender anymore? Is it true that the Milwaukee Bucks didn't deserve to win a championship last season, and should the NBA look at the Milwaukee Bucks as a one-year wonder? So in this video, let's go over why the Milwaukee Bucks are in fact contenders, and number two, why no one wants to talk about them and they're not getting recognition. Of course, before I get into the video, if you guys could leave a like on this and subscribe to the channel if you're new and notifications on. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, and your subscription would be greatly appreciated. Let's get into the video. About a month ago, I made a video called When You're the Best Team in the NBA and No One Cares. And in that video, I talked about the Milwaukee Bucks because I felt like they fit that criteria that a lot of people were not talking about them. Do you want to know what's more disrespectful? When you came off an NBA championship run and no one has talked about you for the past couple months because they said your run was irrelevant and it didn't mean anything. When you're a player like Giannis, who is one of the best players in the NBA and possibly is going to end as one of the best of all time, gets no love. Now in that video, right after I mentioned all that, I talked about how the Milwaukee Bucks did not have that good of a record. I believe they were around 500, and that's because of all the injuries that was going on throughout their team. However, a month later, the Milwaukee Bucks are 27-17, and their team is mostly healthy except Drew Holiday. And last night, as I was getting ready to make this video, this happened.
That's right. Middleton to your right, Reg. Here they go again. Numbers. Giannis galloping onto the Kumbo.
So I think it's time we start talking about the Bucks. In what was a shocking game to most people, the Bucks ended up beating the Warriors by over 20 plus. Now at one point they were up by 40, but since they took out their starters, the Warriors started to come back a little bit in the fourth. And I'm recording this before any of the TV shows like Undisputed and First Take are even on yet. Now I've looked over their YouTube channel and I could not find a clip within a month of seeing them even talk about the Bucks or even have them in a title. But I guarantee you today they're going to bring them up just because they beat the Warriors. And the questions are going to be, how did the Warriors do bad? What mistakes did the Warriors make to have this happen? Are the Warriors frauds? Stuff like that. We've seen this time and time again. I've seen this story play out multiple times, and I'm calling it right now. I don't think the Bucks are going to get credit for this win. I think it's just going to be seen as the Warriors having a meltdown. And as a Phoenix Suns fan, I can tell you firsthand, I've seen this happen multiple times, not just in the playoffs last year, but even this season. Of course, you guys know that the Milwaukee Bucks don't get credit. Even last year when they would beat team after team, they never got credit, which I don't think is fair to the Bucks whatsoever, because this was a really good team last year and even this year. Isn't it kind of funny to you guys that the two teams that made the NBA Finals that people said didn't deserve it are the top teams in their said conference? The Suns are the #1 seed in the Western Conference, and the Milwaukee Bucks are fighting to be in the top 3 right now, and it's a pretty close race. In fact, if you were to ask some people, they would tell you that they believe the Bucks are the best team in the Eastern Conference. Now when you look at this team, it's very clear that they're just as good as they were last year, especially because they kept most of the talent that they had. Now when we ask the question, are the Milwaukee Bucks contenders in the Eastern Conference, I think the answer has to be without a doubt, yes, they are definitely contenders. The amount of talent, the amount of good coaching, the amount of skill that this team has is unprecedented. It is not talked about a lot. So I ask the question, why the Milwaukee Bucks are not talked about as much as they should be, and why no one wants to give them credit despite coming off an NBA championship. But before we can talk about that, hey y'all, this video is sponsored by Manscaped.com, the #1 brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. Now normally when I'm talking about Manscaped, I'm telling you about their Performance Package 4.0, but they sent me 2 new products and I think we gotta talk about them. First product is Manscaped's brand new 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. It's a hair washing conditioner, and not only does it have a dual action formula, but it has a refined cologne quality fragrance. And after using it a couple times, I definitely am impressed, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm going to be incorporating this into my shower routine. Now of course, stuff your hair is nice and all, but what about body wash? Just like the shampoo and conditioner, it has a refined cologne quality fragrance, and if you need any more convincing, then look at this. Marshawn Lynch himself is using Manscaped products. If you want to be like Marshawn Lynch and also use Manscaped products, make sure you guys go to manscaped.com and use code Spex for 20% off your order, whatever you do purchase. Guys, that's code Spex, 20% off. On top of that, you get international free shipping. The link will be in the description below, and thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Guys, your balls will thank you. I saw a video on YouTube a couple days ago, and it asked the question, is the NBA scared of what Giannis has been able to do? I would link the video in the description below, but I cannot remember who made the video. It was just on my recommended, and I saw it as I was getting ready to make this video. But what he meant by saying what Giannis has been able to do is win without a super team. Last season, Giannis broke the narrative that you don't need a super team to win an NBA championship. You don't have to leave your team to go to another team that's way better just to win. You can get drafted to a team, and as dumb and corny as it sounds, just trust the process, and eventually your team will develop as time goes on. A player will literally not make the playoffs for one season and be demanding a trade just like that. I know college football is a little bit different compared to the NBA obviously, but even in college football, a lot of people are now starting to enter the transfer portal just because they're not winning or they're not getting the playing time they want. And for some situations, I could try to justify on why they should transfer or why they should not, but regardless, this gives you a little bit of retrospective that not a whole lot of people are patient anymore. And this isn't even just sports, whether it's YouTube or your job or even school, whatever people now do, they're not patient anymore. Giannis and Chris Middleton were on the same team in 2014, and nearly 7 years later, they finally won an NBA championship. They were able to prove that you can stay on a team and actually win, which is something you don't really see a whole lot of the time. When Giannis signed that big ass extension, a lot of people thought he was dumb. People said he was stupid, he was never going to win a championship, but he proved that wrong. So when the question is the NBA scared of what Giannis has been able to do? Absolutely, because like I said, he didn't have to leave to go to another team. I'm not one of those old heads that's going to be like back in my day because I'm only 17, but I remember when I would hear about players that would be trying to face the superstars like LeBron and the Jordans, they would try to get better and actually beat them. Even if they were going to lose, they rather lose on their own team that they built up from the ground up instead of joining a super team where they did no work. Okay, maybe saying that they didn't do any work is a little bit of a stretch, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. Instead of beating some of the best players in today's game, a lot of people just want to join that player. And the fact that Giannis was actually able to beat some really good teams and make it to the NBA championship and actually win it was insane. So to answer the question why people do not talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, that's because people are scared of them, and not just the team as a whole, but what they bring. A small market, non-super team that won a championship. A team that fought through adversity and through it all was able to withstand every single team they would play and win the NBA Finals. A team that did not care about the narratives that they could not win. The NBA won't talk about them, and that's fine. I don't think Bucks fans really care. But when will not only the NBA media, but us as fans start to look at other teams that are not just the Warriors or Lakers? So I think it's safe to say that the Milwaukee Bucks have tricked the NBA.